Welcome to Cox San Diego Connection. Today we'll be talking about internet safety. How do we keep our children, identities, and money secure? It's not that hard, but it does take some work and education. Our first guest works with children and teens. He is Brandon Horrocks of the Boys and Girls Clubs of San Diego. Welcome, Brandon. When did you first notice or start thinking there might be a problem with all this internet and web stuff going on out there?
That's a good question, Sal. You know, at the Boys and Girls Club, we've always prided ourselves on being safe, affordable, and fun. And with safety being such a primary focus of ours, we started noticing that there would be issues along internet safety about the mid-2000s when internet and computer labs in our buildings really became very popular and very in demand. And right away, we started noticing things like chat rooms, certain websites, children having relatively easy access to questionable material online started making us a little bit more aware that we needed to take some action.
And tell us about this, the cyber safety, cyber bullying programs that now have become a must. Tell us how you're doing it.
Well, yeah, so at the Boys and Girls Club, you know, one of the things that we do is anybody that uses, any of the kids that use our computers in our computer labs, they're required to go through an internet safety program called NetSmarts. And what we do is we talk to them. They go through different online interactive games and things, but we talk to them about the need to be safe online, what it means when there is a predator, what that is, and that, you know, sometimes it might be in the most innocent ways. They might be playing a game online, they might be on Facebook, they might be doing any of their social media, and random strangers will communicate with them and want to talk to them. And oftentimes it seems very innocent. But kids can be very easily lured into conversations, and then those conversations can take a very dangerous turn. So we talk to kids about those kind of things at the appropriate age levels for where they are. But we want them to know that, you know, it's not okay for strangers to talk to them online, just like it's not okay for strangers to talk to them on the street.
Yeah, you know, Instagrams of the world, Facebook, it all seems like fun, Twitter, but it can be dangerous. Tell us what you tell your children how to be safe with these programs.
So one of the things we talk about with the kids about being safe online is if they ever feel uncomfortable, that there probably is an issue and they need to talk to an adult. That's a good general rule anyway for most kids when they're dealing with strangers, but especially online, because online seems to be so private in some ways. And a lot of kids do not communicate with their parents about what their activities are online. And so we encourage our kids to make their parents aware when there are things online that they're not sure about or that they feel uncomfortable about. And we also tell the kids too that, you know, there are behaviors that they need to watch for themselves, and so that they need to avoid going to certain sites where they might be susceptible to being communicated with. If things like cyberbullying, which is now a bigger issue, especially since so many kids have cellular phones where they have internet access and social media access, that's become a big issue too. And so we've started to incorporate that into our anti-bullying curriculum, where we talk to the kids about, you know, it's no longer just the schoolyard bullying, which still happens, but it's much more subtle now when kids can just get on a text message or an Instagram or whatever it might be, a Snapchat, and harass you or bully you or say mean things to you, and you know, that's it. It's so easy for kids to communicate these days. And more often than not, the cyberbullying is becoming a bigger and bigger issue. And so we want our kids to be aware that that's not okay. And if it's happening, come tell us. Come talk to us, and let's have a discussion about that.
The Boys and Girls Clubs are synonymous with fun and education and exercise. Is this all part of the healthy lifestyles that you teach?
It is. Yeah, so the Boys and Girls Club, you know, we focus on academic success, healthy lifestyles, and good character and citizenship. And certainly one of the healthy lifestyle choices the kids will make are who they interact with, whether that's online or in person. And we want our kids to be safe, just like every adult does.
Tell us about the relationship with Cox Communications. We're proud to be involved with Boys and Girls Clubs, but tell me about the technology centers and how they work and how they help the kids with Boys and Girls Clubs.
Well, Cox Communications has been a wonderful supporter of Boys and Girls Clubs, not only here locally, but nationwide at many Boys and Girls Clubs. And with us here locally, Cox has been involved in helping us set up a number of our computer labs at our facility locations. And Cox, just like we do at the Boys and Girls Club, takes pride in the fact that we can service kids in a very positive and meaningful way so that they can use technology for all of the wonderful things and for all of the wonderful learning opportunities that the kids are looking for, and yet still be safe online.
Now, some of us still consider ourselves children. How do you also teach adults? Tell us about the open houses that you have, especially related to all this internet stuff that we may not all be too hip with.
So one of the things that the Boys and Girls Club does to help support families is throughout the year we have various family events, open houses if you will, where parents can come in and learn about what we're doing at the Boys and Girls Club. And during different times of the year we do focus on specific topics. So we might be focusing on healthy behavior, healthy eating, or we'll focus on internet safety. And there we'll talk to parents about, what are their kids doing online? What does that look like? We'll pass out some information to them, some helpful tips and facts that they can have, and really engage them in that conversation, because really it boils down to the communication piece. We want parents to communicate with their kids. They communicate with us, and we want to make sure that the kids understand that they should be comfortable talking to their parents as well.
Briefly talk about the life interaction programs that you have, the self-worth, self-esteem that you try to instill in children.
At the Boys and Girls Club, we have a number of programs that help build character in kids. That's our number one priority, other than keeping kids safe, is we want them to become responsible citizens and positive people that have very positive directions in their lives. And so we do have a number of programs that are specifically geared to the different ages of the kids to help build their character and their self-esteem. We want them to walk away feeling confident, feeling secure, and feeling competent in every aspect of their lives.
Great. Thanks, Brandon. Thanks for all the work you do with our children. Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Sal, for the opportunity.
Appreciate it. Well, we'll be back shortly with another guest who's going to give us some advice on how to protect our identities. Please stay with us.
Cox Communications is proud to support the communities we serve. The James M. Cox Foundation and Cox have awarded a total of $300,000 in technology grants to 12 Boys and Girls Club of America locations, including San Diego and Orange County. Each location has received $25,000 for their computer centers. Cox is committed to bridging the digital divide and providing broadband access to all.
The USS Midway Museum wants to thank you, San Diego. Since dropping anchor in 2004, San Diegans have made the USS Midway the most visited naval ship in the world. 700 local volunteers donate nearly 250,000 volunteer hours a year. Membership has grown to more than 13,000 supporters. And San Diego teachers bring nearly 50,000 students a year on board to study. As we celebrate our 10th anniversary, you can help us achieve our vision of becoming America's living symbol of freedom. Thank you, San Diego, in partnership with Cox Communications.
We're talking about internet safety, which is a broad topic and somewhat confusing for a lot of people, but it doesn't have to be that way. With us is Eva Velasquez with the Identity Theft Resource Center. Eva, welcome. Tell us about the center and what you guys are about. It almost sounds like you're part of the CIA.
Just a little bit. Well, the ITRC was founded in 1999, and it stemmed from a need because the founder had herself been a victim of identity theft, and at that time, people didn't know how to remediate the problem. They weren't even aware of what identity theft was, much less how to fix the problem. And so she decided to go on this crusade, find this organization, and to this day, most of the employees there have themselves been victims who availed themselves of the services of the ITRC.
You kind of hear it in the news or you read about it, but how prevalent is identity theft?
It's a tremendous problem, and it's growing exponentially. Last year, according to the Bureau of Justice Statistics, there were 16.6 million victims in the U.S.
That is a lot of people. What type of crimes happen when somebody does take your identity? And it's probably a lot more than somebody just going off and buying a TV or a radio or something. What types of crimes do happen when someone takes it?
Right. Most people think of, if they know about identity theft, they think of the financial implications. And financial identity theft is by far the most prevalent type of identity theft, but there are so many things that criminals can do with your information once they have it. There's criminal identity theft, where someone uses your information to commit a crime. There's medical identity theft, where someone gets medical goods or services, prescriptions, crutches, even surgeries. And there's child identity theft, where they invent a synthetic ID and have this nice, clean social security number so they can do all kinds of damage because people generally aren't checking.
Who are the likely candidates or victims?
Anyone can be a victim of identity theft. Sometimes people think, well, I don't have a high enough income or my credit isn't that good, but that doesn't stop somebody from committing, say, the criminal aspect or the medical aspect or even government identity theft, where they apply for benefits in your name.
Now, you were telling me more and more seniors are becoming victims. How does it happen, and who are these seniors who fall victims to this crime?
Well, our concern is we put the senior population sort of into two silos that are most vulnerable. And that first silo are the seniors that are relying on someone else for their care. Maybe they're in assisted living, maybe they actually have someone coming into their home to help take care of them. So their information is very vulnerable. And if you think of your personally identifying information, like your social security number, your driver's license number, or state ID number, even your passport information, if you think of that like any other valuable, if it's there and accessible for other people, and if you're not in a position to be really taking care of it and tracking it, that can make you very vulnerable. And the other silo are those seniors that are out there, they've worked hard their whole lives, they have good savings accounts, they're out traveling and enjoying it, and boy do they have good credit. They really are a lucrative and an attractive target to the thieves.
Well, it's hard to believe that there's people who would do stuff like that, but how do you help victims of identity theft when they come to you and they're distraught and oh my God, what am I going to do? What advice do you have for these people, and what programs do you have to help them out?
Well, the good news is ITRC has a call center that's manned by very seasoned, I would say some of the most seasoned in the country, staff that will help remediate the case. And you are assigned an advisor from start to finish. You talk to one person. They walk you through the process the entire way. And of course, because we're a nonprofit, all of our services are completely free to the public, and anyone can take advantage of them.
What's the timeline when you figure out that, oh my God, this happened to me, to a point where you feel like you're back above water?
You know, unfortunately, there really isn't a general timeline, because it can be anything from perhaps it's just payment card information that was used, and you can just close that account, pay attention to your statements and move on. And other times, if it's the serious kind where your social security number and other identifiers have been used, it can go on forever. You have to maintain that vigilance and keep checking all of your information to make sure it's not being used.
How do you minimize the likelihood of becoming a victim?
I'm so glad you asked that, because we have several tips and we make it really easy to remember. We tell people to SHRED, S-H-R-E-D, and that stands for strengthen your passwords, handle your PII, your personally identifying information, with care, read your credit reports annually. So many people say that they do, but I don't think they all do. Empty that purse or wallet, especially for the ladies. I've seen them jam everything in the kitchen sink in your purse. Clean it out. If you don't need it that day, don't take it with you. And the D stands for discuss these tips with friends.
And these are the 5 ways to protect
Those are our 5 easiest to remember. There's all kinds of ways that you can monitor your information, but those are the really easy ones to remember.
If you do become a victim, what should you do right away? And we're talking notifying a police agency?
Of course, that is one of the steps. Until you get a police report in your hand, a lot of the critical protections that are afforded to identity theft victims, they don't kick in. So whatever is the trigger that's notified you that you have a problem, you'll want to go directly to that source first. Then you'll want to contact the Federal Trade Commission and fill out an affidavit, and then call your local police department. Of course, you can always call the ITRC first, and we'll help walk you through those steps.
So the police report is critical, and
It
no matter
is.
where you are.
Correct, and it's where the victim resides. There are a lot of issues with cross-jurisdiction and people not quite knowing, well, I live in San Diego, but the thief committed the crime in Florida. Where do I call? The legislation that's been passed in the previous years has tried to make it easier for victims, so it's call your local police department. So when you if you were to dial 911, whoever answers the phone, those are the people that you want to call, but you do want to call the non-emergency number.
Eva, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Well, after a short break, we're going to hear specific ways that Cox Communications is helping customers keep their internet safe and secure. Please stay with us.
Since day one, you've been protecting your kid against all kinds of harm. Diaper rash, measles, even acne. So how come online predators never make it on that list? Be a parent again. Learn more at smartcyberchoices.org from SafetyNet, the San Diego Police Foundation, and ESET. Before it's too late.
Cox Communications is proud to support the communities we serve. The James M. Cox Foundation and Cox have awarded a total of $300,000 in technology grants to 12 Boys and Girls Club of America locations, including San Diego and Orange County. Each location has received $25,000 for their computer centers. Cox is committed to bridging the digital divide and providing broadband access to all.
Welcome back to Cox San Diego Connection. Cox Communications is very much involved in protecting its customers and helping them with the internet. One of our colleagues is here to discuss online safety and security. He is Ryan Lang, a product knowledge specialist with Cox Communications. Ryan, welcome to our show. What is Cox offering to protect families online?
So Cox actually provides our customers with Cox Security Suite Plus powered by McAfee. It's actually free to any of our customers who have internet service with us. Some of our competitors actually charge up to $20 a month for comparable security.
So it's free?
It is free, yeah. Gratis with any type of internet plan.
Super. Now tell us about exactly what is a security suite?
So Cox customers actually can download a license for security software powered by McAfee on up to 5 computers and family protection on up to 3 computers. So Cox Security Suite Plus gives you tools to protect you from viruses, spyware, phishing, spam and fraud protection, and also Cox Spam Blocker.
It sounds intimidating, especially for a lot of people. Technology can be confusing and intimidating. How do you get people to clear this barrier and get them to go for it and take on these services?
So I'm actually one of those people who's intimidated. I can tell you it's super easy. All you need to do is log into Cox.com, go to Internet Tools, follow the instructions, and download on all your computers.
Is this all part of the Family Protection Plan?
So the Family Protection Plan is actually the most complete way to protect your entire family. It actually provides you protection from online threats, social networking stalkers, and also helps you filter websites. So we actually take security safety very seriously. We've outlined up to 35 different categories of web content that you can filter to keep your family safe.
What else would you suggest to parents to keep themselves, their identities, and keep their children safe also?
So there's a few different things we recommend doing. First is you just have to be involved, so know what your children are doing online, talk to them about it, have an open communication. Talk to them about social networking sites. If parents don't already have one, definitely sign up, use the same sites that your children are using, that way you have an active presence online. In addition, you also want to teach your children about password protection. So for instance, you want to make sure they have strong passwords. So strong passwords would be long, something easy for them to remember, include capitals and letters, and obviously never share the passwords with anybody.
Where can parents find information about this stuff? Can they simply pick up the phone and call?
Absolutely. Well, there's a few different methods. They can always feel free to contact our customer service or go into any of our solution stores to talk to about it. What we recommend, actually, the easiest way is to go to cox.com/takecharge. There, parents can find lots of tips, how-tos, and different tools to help them protect their families.
A lot of people may not be English speakers or fluent in English, but you also provide services in Spanish and other languages. Tell us about that a little bit.
Absolutely. Well, over the phone, we do have Hispanic COEs, pretty much call centers you can talk to, and they're all in Spanish. In addition, our website does have a Spanish variant as well.
The services that are being offered, they are, you said they're free of cost and easy accessible. Like, why would you say you got to do this? When you talk to people about this, customers or just plain folks, how do you convince them to take on these services and convince them that they're to their benefit?
Well, we don't consider ourselves just a service provider. Sure, we provide kind of the method to get connected online, but we want to make sure that our customers always have a good experience and that they're safe while they're online. So we feel that it's our responsibility to make sure we provide them the tools to keep them safe while they do their online browsing. So that's why we encourage them to use these free services that we offer.
When people are coming to you, are the concerns basically the same? You keep hearing the same thing over and over and over?
Regarding the security software? Yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool. So McAfee, I've heard of customers who actually have purchased that software. Some of them might not know, and they get it for free actually with our service. So it's just another great benefit and feature that we try to encourage our customers to use.
Okay, Brian, thank you very much for being with us. I really appreciate your time. There's a lot more to come on Cox San Diego Connection. We'll be talking cell phone safety. If you have an Android or an iPhone, you'll want to listen to this. Please stay with us.
Cox is proud to support Junior Achievement San Diego and the more than 14,000 students served through JA BizTown each year. JA BizTown uses hands-on activities and real-life situations to inspire students to succeed in today's world. And part of today's world includes practicing safe online behavior. Cox Communications invites you to take charge of your family's digital life by visiting cox.com/takecharge for resources and tips on how you can protect your family's online safety.
Since day one, you've been protecting your kid against all kinds of harm. Diaper rash, measles, even acne. So how come online predators never make it on that list? Be a parent again. Learn more at smartcyberchoices.org from SafetyNet, the San Diego Police Foundation, and ESET. Before it's too late.
We've been discussing internet safety, protecting ourselves and our identities. A lot of identity theft happens when people are doing commerce online, or in some cases, simply being online at a coffee shop. To help us explain some of these dangers, we're going to turn it over to Brendan McHugh, a Deputy District Attorney here in San Diego County. Welcome, Brendan. Thank you for being with us. What is the most common mistake people make in relationship to maybe passwords? How important are passwords?
Well, I think probably the biggest mistake that people make is they use a simple password. For the past 5 or 6 years that I've been doing presentations on cybersecurity, the number 1 and number 2 passwords have been either password or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And crooks know that. So it's very important to, one, have a unique password for every account. So that's the other thing that crooks know. If they can guess your account, your password for your account on Facebook, they'll also try your name for various emails. So they'll go to Gmail, Hotmail, et cetera, and try that same password. If they're successful, they own you. So it's important to have different passwords for every account, and they need to be complex. And what I mean by complex is they need to have uppercase, lowercase letters, numbers, and special characters. And it's better if it's a phrase rather than a word. So what I mean by that is if you make it a phrase and, for instance, substitute E's for 3's, so I would not suggest using my password as a phrase, right? But something that is unique that you'll remember, and then put in special characters. The reason that makes it more difficult is that thieves can't just basically use English words. It's called a dictionary attack against your account. So complex passwords, different passwords for each account, and very important to change those passwords about every 3 to 6 months.
Antivirus apps, how important are those?
Those are really critical. One of the things that is pretty universal, it seems, is that everyone has a smartphone or a mobile device. So when I do presentations, I ask who has a mobile device. Virtually every hand goes up. And then I say, okay, so for those of you with mobile devices, please keep your hand raised if you're using antivirus products on that phone. And there will be 1 or 2 people in the room. You have to remember that the mobile device in your pocket is a computer. And it's important that it be protected with antivirus products, no differently from your computer at home or your laptop. And you need to keep those up to date. Most of the antivirus software now comes in bundles, so you can buy one product and it will cover multiple PCs and a mobile device. And it's really imperative to use that, particularly on Android devices, because the App Store for Android is not policed. In other words, there's no one who vets the applications that are put into that store. So a person can put malicious code into that store, so they can target, for instance, a particular group. So people who are looking at investments, they can create an application that will go out and look at what's going on with NASDAQ and give you reports. But what they've bundled on the back of that is something that will go through and pull all your passwords for all the accounts that you log into. So it's critical to have antivirus on those devices.
You mentioned the Android phones, and not to knock them or perhaps do a commercial for the iPhone, but it appears that the iPhone is more secure than the Androids. Why is that?
Well, it is because Apple has always been proprietary with their hardware and also with their software. So they vet their applications. But that doesn't mean that they're invulnerable. And in fact, there was one developer who created an application solely for the purpose of showing Apple that they were not invulnerable. So the application did weird things to the contact list. So it would send out a blast email from a rap star name to everyone in the contact list. It didn't do anything malicious, but it was intended to expose that Apple was not invulnerable. So it's important to remember that and to treat it as a computer.
You hear the word encryption. What does that mean and why is it important?
Encryption is really critical, especially for mobile devices. What encryption does is it runs an algorithm across the data and makes the data inaccessible to someone who does not have the key. So on your mobile device, you can enable the encryption, and with the iPhone 4S and above, they are already encrypted when you put in a passcode. But you want to encrypt the device so that should you leave it at a restaurant or have it stolen, that thieves cannot get into it and pull your data out. If it's encrypted, the only way to get the data out is with that key.
Hotspots, airports, coffee shops, not the best place to do commerce.
Terrible place to do commerce. If there's one takeaway from this, it's I urge people to not do financial transactions on open wireless. One of the attacks that we've seen is called a man-in-the-middle. And in a man-in-the-middle attack, a person goes into, for instance, a coffee shop that has open wireless. And the broadcast ID for the wireless is something like coffee shop. So he goes in and logs into the coffee shop wireless, but then establishes another wireless connection through a router that he's got, and he calls it coffee shop 2. So unsuspecting people will log into coffee shop 2, and he will see everything that they're doing. Similarly, a person on an open wireless can use tools such as Wireshark to monitor the activity on that node and may be able to see everything that the other people in the coffee shop are doing at the time. So it's very important to not use the open wireless at the convention centers, the airports, the coffee shops for anything financial. I mean, fine, if you want to watch a dancing cat video, sure, but don't do any financial transactions.
Being active on social media, Facebook, that sort of thing, you're actually leaving like an electronic paper trail, right? That can be bad also?
Well, one of the things that I find interesting is there's a lot of talk about data privacy these days. But I think for people under the age of 25, privacy really kind of died with social media because folks are posting everything about their private lives. They check into restaurants, they update their status on Facebook, and they're really leaving information out there available to the public that previously we really kept private. Where this becomes important for security is particularly when people are away from their home. So the notion of a friend has changed dramatically with social media. So now people are friends with people they do not know. And we've seen in other states burglary rings that used Facebook to see that the victims were out of town on vacation and were updating with photographs. And then they burglarized their homes because they knew they were out of town. So it's important to be mindful of what you're putting on social media and how it may affect your security.
Briefly talk about spam and why these unsolicited emails should just be erased immediately.
Well, some of these unsolicited emails may have a payload or content that will damage, that is a virus or some kind of malware. So what I suggest is to set up really a robust spam filtering. When you find that you've got unsolicited email from someone you don't know, particularly if it has an attachment, then I would suggest creating a rule that just puts that in the trash bin. Because even previewing some of these applications may cause damage to your computer.
The task force that you're involved with, if you could tell us quickly what it's about and how can people get a hold of you guys?
Well, we were created back in 2000. The legislature recognized that it's very difficult to combat cybercrime for local law enforcement agencies. One, because it's extremely expensive. Two, because it takes a lot of training. And three, because it takes a substantial amount of experience to really develop the skill set. And what is generally the case is that officers in law enforcement and even prosecutors will rotate positions periodically between 3 and 5 years. But it takes years to build up the corporate knowledge to do that investigation. So they created the 5 task forces, and we work across the state of California to cross jurisdictional lines to combat cybercrime. Catch is here in San Diego and Riverside County, where we have about 8 investigators in Riverside County and a prosecutor, myself, another prosecutor here in San Diego, and about another 8 investigators who are federal, state, and local.
Brendan, thank you very much. We've run out of time, unfortunately. Thanks a lot for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now, I'm Salvador Rivera, and on behalf of our guests and all the employees of Cox Communications, we want to thank you for watching Cox San Diego Connection, helping you learn and prosper.